Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining in on a little late edition of our webinars. I apologize if I'm a little bit out of breath or trying to quickly get this started, but we just had a fire drill at our place. So, but I'm so excited to have Chris Miller from Air Force back on again, but more importantly, more excited to have Heather on the line to talk a little bit about family and football and that symbiotic relationship. Now, especially for younger guys like myself and people that are going to begin families or thinking about having families, I think this is going to be a really important talk on how both sides of the coin should be treated. And I'm just as interested to hear from Heather's side, if not more than Chris is, because Chris and I actually, at this rate, we're going to be co-hosts of our own podcast because we've talked 4 or 5 times now.
We might as well do it. Let's go live.
Yeah, but Chris is one of my favorite people to talk to about life in the industry. So I'm more than excited to hear from Heather. Okay. Now, before we get started, just to let everybody know, like I start most things, there's a disclaimer that these two have been gracious enough to open up on whatever they would like to share about their family, and I don't take that lightly. So just know that if they don't want to answer something or go into depth about something, you got to be more than willing to accept that. But I know Chris for sure that he doesn't pull any punches when it comes to talking about life, because Chris always says life's too short to not act like yourself. So welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Jimmy. It's awesome. I will currently be feeding Penelope during this, so welcome to our podcast, or our video cast, if you will. And we just want to make sure everybody knows that, yeah, we are a little family. It's grown by one, which is pretty awesome. Penelope's 7 weeks old now?
7 weeks, yeah.
7 weeks old. She has all the great nice sleep at 4:30 in the morning, and we try and flip-flop those as much as we can. And by flip-flop, it literally roll over and go, is she awake? Nope, Heather's not awake. Okay, I'll get up and do this anyways. And then wait for Maximus to wake up about 6 a.m. And he'll come over and slap me in the face and say, Daddy, wake up, play Twirly-Woos. Which, if you don't know what Twirly-Woos is, you'll learn. It's a British show that it takes zero nonsense and zero brains to even watch. But my kid loves it. Make him some pancakes in the morning, let Heather get some sleep. Yeah, because everything she went through with the pregnancy and the C-section was just kind of crazy. We originally went in for a normal birth, and Penelope decided she wanted to be a gymnastics person. So.
Bit of a surprise. You changed things up for us, but it's all good.
Well, we're more than happy, and congratulations on Penelope. And Maximus, I know that Chris, you're pretty public with him, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stories. But for now, before we really delve into the questions, we know mostly about Chris, right? His accolades, him being in the industry. But more importantly, we got to know a little bit about you, Heather, okay? So if you don't mind, just give yourself a brief introduction, whatever you want to talk about. You could say, what you do for a living, anything you really want, what people don't know about you. Just introduce yourself a little bit too.
Well, I'm Heather. Chris and I have been married. It'll be 5 years on Saturday, Friday, the 3rd, whatever the 3rd is. I am from Texas, and I went to Texas A&M, have a degree in journalism, which led me, as we all know, journalism is a dying breed, especially for what I had originally started for newspaper. So, by the way, the farting is the baby. Maybe Chris too, but it's definitely the baby. And I have a degree, like I said, in journalism, and I've kind of just ventured off in the last 10 to 12 years into like social media marketing. And so I work with different clients and people to help them put their best foot forward online. So it's fun when I get to see whatever team Chris is working for and what they're doing on the social media side, and I have my input, and I'm sure that drives Chris crazy. But yeah, so I do that. I come from a very interesting family. I have a twin sister who's back in Houston. I like my dogs. I like my husband. I like my babies. I love them all. I don't know. I think that's basically it. I'm not anything too interesting. I'm pretty vocal about our life and the things that we go through, whether it's good or bad, just because, I mean, there's nothing to really hide. So we're always open for conversations, whatever that means. So yeah.
Heather's very modest about herself. She's a complete badass when it comes down to everything. For a woman that will stick by somebody who works with Coach's Film and everything that I've done in the last 5-6 years now, she is our rock for our family. She makes this entire engine run. I'm merely the lubricant that tries to make sure everything is very well greased. So I come in when the timing's right, and she's just the one that makes the whole car go. Yeah, she's amazing. And we both met on Tinder.
We did.
Got married 9 months after that.
No, we got engaged 9 months after.
Engaged.
And then got a year later.
Yeah, sorry. My timing's wrong.
Yeah.
But I will always remember our anniversary. It is what, babe?
July 3rd.
July 3rd, because I always get her fireworks for the next day. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, well, and honestly, July 3rd is our anniversary because, as you know,
and our son
guess what?
just
Max
woke up.
just woke up.
So I'm
Right.
going to pass Penny off and go put Maximus back down. Welcome to our family, guys.
Oh, you're good. This is a realistic look on everything.
Right.
Now, if you didn't know already, Heather, I was actually on Chris's support staff podcast, and he talked about the first time that you guys met. But really, I want to go and delve into your side because, I mean, if I had to be quite honest, trying to convince another significant other about what we do is not easy, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
But can you go into a little bit of perspective about when you guys first met? Because from what I remember, Chris was very honest in that, hey, I'm going to come straight from the practice field, and I might not be at my best, but, I'm going to be at my best behavior for you.
Yeah.
Wherever that.
Right. Yeah. No, honestly, I'm being from Texas. I'm a huge college football fan, especially the Aggies. Come on, not anytime recently, but anyways, huge fan. And so when we had matched on Tinder, and he said he worked in football, I was very I was like, well, that's cool. What do you do? And he told me, and I was like, okay, I didn't know that football teams even had a film coordinator. I don't even know what that means. And on our first date, he shows up right after practice. First date, and he's in sweats, full on sweats, had just left practice. And I was like, okay, to this, whatever. He did give me a heads up. And then I would say, we dated for a couple of weeks, and then I thought he was cheating on me because of his schedule. And I was like, there's no way this guy is really working till 2 a.m. I legitimately thought he was cheating. And finally, I confronted him, and I was like, look, I'm, I think I was like 29. I was like, I'm 29, too old for this. If you're not into this, you're not into this. And he's like, no, I'm totally into you. This is really my job. And on that day, he was like, why don't you come up after a game and see what happens and see what I do? And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. So I go to, this is back at Houston, and go to one of the Cougar games. And afterwards, it was I think like an 8 o'clock game, 8 p.m. kickoff. And I go up to his office after, and 2 a.m. rolls around. I was like, okay, I believe you. I'm going home. Good night. It was insane. All the film, the afterwards and the coaches meeting stuff. I mean, they're constantly calling him, and, we still joke about it. And I will say Air Force coaches are a little bit better about it than other U of H staff. But he, getting text messages at 10 p.m. at night, for me, that's really late. And I'm like, who are these people? Is this really a coach? But sure enough, it is, and it's tough. It's weird. I'm not used to the schedule. I dated engineers before that were home by 6,
And made more money.
made a lot more money. And but yeah, and I got to know the position, and now what he does, and 6 years into this relationship, I'm used to it. And in fact, I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, when do you go back to work? Is the season going to start sooner? Because I can run the ship without you, because you kind of get in your groove and you figure things out. But yeah, so it's definitely like, I've, not to sound weird, I've dated quite a bit, and I've never dated a guy that had a job like this. But I like it. He loves it, and as long as he likes it, it makes it easier for all of us. So yeah.
Now, before this, I was told to give as many brownie points to Chris as possible. So now, Chris, as the relationship developed, right, how did you know that Heather was the right fit when it came to your life? Because I know on the Sports Staff podcast, you mentioned that you have to have the other person coexist with your metaphorical other wife,
Yeah.
which is the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you know?
Honestly, it boiled down to really after that night when we had that night game, and she came up and she goes, "So what do you do? What do you do now? We just go home?" And I was like, "Nope. I have to run 2 laptops across the entire city of Houston. And then I have to come back here and make sure the game's exported, put the game back up, and then I can go home." And at that point, she was like, "Yeah, you're lying. Like, whatever." She fell asleep on the couch. I came back around 2 a.m. She's like, "Okay, I'm going home." And honestly, the next day, it was more or less, "Hey, this actually is what you do." And I was like, "Yeah." And I think the next game we went to Rutgers, and we came back, and it was 4 a.m. And
I lived closer to campus at the time, which was a benefit for him. I think that was part of that sealed the deal. I was, after late night games, he could be like, "Hey, I'm coming over and passing out." So, hi.
Passing out. But anyways, I would end up after Rutgers. I went and spent the night at her house, and her friend came over from, I forget where she's from, Dallas somewhere. And anyways, her daughter came and saw me on the couch, and it was really kind of funny because
it's not about how I fell in love with you.
Will you shush? Good Lord.
Marriage.
It's like a coach over here. Anyways, the way just that she saw me interact with these other people in her life, and having her talk to me about that, it just showed me like she was very family oriented, very oriented about the people around her, and it really led me to having a deeper emotional connection and love for her. And once I saw that, and we talked a lot about our future and what we wanted to do, and we were both at the point we were just tired of dating, and really just wanted to be able to settle down and see what we could do. And when I found that person I could talk to all the time and not have to bullshit my way through things, or I could sit there and actually tell her what was going on, and she'd listen to me and not have a glossy look over her face, that was possibly the most.
It helped that I liked
thing.
football.
Yeah.
It helped that I like football, and I think that's important. If the girl or partner, whatever you end up with, doesn't like football, it's probably not going to work.
Great. Now, I wanted to go through the bad stuff before asking stuff that will bring us back up. But Heather, when is it most difficult in your guys' lives in regards to having football in your guys' lives? Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, when kids enter the picture, it's really hard. Before, when we had no kids, it was easy. It was kind of nice. He would, the season starts up or whatever, and I would know that for the next 7 months, or 7 to 9 months, I had control of the TV, and I could watch my Dateline every Friday when he was, traveling or whatever. So.
Or you look for me on the sideline.
Yeah, or I don't know if you heard that, but anyways, he's putting Max back down to bed. But, it was pretty, not easy, but it was just, I adjusted and I learned. And then you throw a kid in the mix and, I know there's a couple of wives on here right now, and it's hard. It's when you have a kid and you know that your husband's not gonna be home till 9:30 p.m. There's no way he can help with bedtime. Not in our house because bedtime's a little early. So it's a stress mentally. And it's, there was a lot of, there still are a lot of, nights that end in tears or open the bottle of wine, leave me alone. It's hard and you kind of feel alone. But, I keep telling myself in the end, it's all worth it. Like this past year, we, went to the bowl game and just seeing the excitement on his face and the tears. And it was just like, okay, it was worth the couple of nights this season that I thought I was just going to explode. But yeah, I would say that's the hardest part is when you have kids involved, especially if you have a sick kid or I work full time and while trying to launch my own business. So it was, this past season was very hard. And was I pregnant?
Yes.
I can't remember. I don't even know what day it is. What month is it?
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, right. I don't even know. But, and being pregnant during the season's pretty tough too. Cause, when Chris is pretty doting and when he's off for practice or an away game or even a home game, you don't have somebody run to the fridge for you. So it's definitely an independent life, and you have to really know to be independent and just know that for a solid chunk of the year, you're on your own. So
now from your perspective, Chris, look, we all know you locked up your top recruit. Okay. So when I ask this, hopefully this doesn't get you in trouble, but when we look back on before you got to Heather, right? I know personally, I kind of almost have a little social anxiety of trying to describe what I do and trying to have it match up, right?
Yeah.
What were the difficulties before finding Heather when it came to your dating life and trying to find that relationship? Maybe you wanted one, maybe you didn't want one at the time. What were a lot of difficulties when football was involved when you were just single?
Finding someone with maturity, essentially. I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, we all live in college towns, so it's super simple to go to the bar and, pick up a college girl or whatever and, go do it, go on dates and have it be fruitless, essentially.
That was one of the first things he said to me, after he says something like, I just have never dated a girl that's as mature. He was like, first of all, I'm a woman, I'm 29. And yeah, I have my shit together because I'm an adult. And that's what happens when you date 20-year-old girls or 21-year-old girls at the bar.
Yeah. It gets kind of monotonous, to be completely honest with you. Like, I don't know. It was just like a really kind of empty feeling at times. But to find Heather and find somebody with the maturity and just kind of the same wavelength as you, like that was the key thing for me. And even I told her that. I was like, it's just nice to be able to have somebody to like come home to, be able to hang out with and not have to like go to the club, because I don't like going to the club, even though it may be my birthday at times.
Did you go to the club?
50 Cent usually sent me to the club, but
Dad jokes. No one laugh at
You
that.
really get good at dad jokes.
No, he doesn't. They just get worse. They're not even dad jokes.
DeRoches, Eiler, John, you guys all know what I'm talking about. Carrie, you too. Everybody gets this, but yeah, it's nice because now instead of going to the bar, like we'll hang out at home. Like it's true. I mean, shit. I'm drinking no shit, a Bud Light seltzer. I'm not endorsing them, even though these are tasty. And I think Heather has her box of the month or wine of the month club here, and we're feeding a child. And I just put my kid to sleep, who is still asleep, thank God. It's the small victories in life that really are pretty awesome. But no, it was really just nice to be able to have somebody who's mature enough to be able to get through all this and be able to come home and talk to about some real like shit, because
the younger girls too, and as learning from him, the younger girls would just, it's all about them and how come you didn't call me and all this. And I would understand, oh, he's in coaches meetings for the rest of the day. I'm not going to hear a text from him. And nor did I expect one. So I think a big part of it is like just finding someone that's not needy.
Yeah.
And that can operate on their own. So
and cell phones make it a lot easier now to stay in touch, like with your wife and everything too, because like I have, I made sure I live in a bunker here at Air Force, so I made sure I got Wi-Fi. I made sure my computers were connected to everything, Google Chat, Facebook Chat, our phones. Technology's really been very helpful with our relationship as well, because that, like she said, I'm going to a meeting and she's calling me, and I can see she's calling me on my Apple Watch. So then I run to my office real quick to make sure I answer the call. And that's another thing too, is if you get a good coaching staff that puts family first, it's massive. Coach Calhoun and his staff here are very family oriented, and they've really made it easy for me and my family, especially after everything we've been through, to have the life that we have. So
great. Now, before I continue, looks like Mike has a follow-up. Go ahead, Mike, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, no problem. Actually, I got to jump for my own dinner with my family, but hey, I just wanted to thank you for putting this on, Jimmy. Chris and Heather, it's great to see you. I wish there were more younger people or more people attending this, and I'm glad it's recorded so others can review it, because the net, I think what people realize is it takes a strong woman that's independent and actually can entertain herself, that's willing to put up with that kind of schedule, because Lord knows you all burn it at your respective jobs. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with Scott and getting to meet Megan, his wife. Scott's a great guy. He's a guy that's done it for many, many years, but it's a team. And it's no different whether it's a sports environment or any other corporate environment, but you have to have people that are willing to basically put up with that. And they basically, look, it's a sacrifice. So, I haven't met Ashley, but I know Riley, and same thing there. I'm sure they agree that it takes two to kind of make this stuff work. So I got to jump, but I just want to say, Chris and Heather, great to meet you, or great to see you guys again. Congrats on the most recent edition. Jimmy, keep this stuff going. It's good stuff. Good to see everybody. But hey, it takes two. It takes a team, and it's a team effort, which is no different for how it actually works in an organization. But what Chris just said, it certainly helps if you have a coach that values the family dynamic. So good for you guys for making it work, because Lord knows it ain't easy. At all. But I just want to say hi to y'all. So thanks for the time. Appreciate it. You guys enjoy the rest of the call, and have a great 4th when you get to it. And happy anniversary, Chris and Heather.
Thank you.
thanks, Mike.
All right, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Hi, Scott. Bye, John.
Now, when we fast forward a little bit, okay. So you convinced her to date you. Congratulations on that. Convinced her to marry you. Congrats.
Fireball helps. Great.
Now, I want to fast forward a little bit to the move, okay?
Yeah.
When you got the job at Air Force, right?
Yeah.
Touchy subject.
Yeah. How much you want to delve into that, that's your prerogative, but how did you convince her of that now?
So, okay, when Air Force called, Tom Herman had just come on at Houston. He had mentioned to the entire staff, if you have, other opportunities, please explore them. I'm not going to fire anybody, but, I just want everybody to be at their best. So I got a call from Air Force, asked if I was interested, said the head coach would be calling. All within that time frame, Heather's grandfather had passed away, and we were on the way to College Station, and the entire way to College Station in her 2012 black Ford Focus, we saw signs.
On the way to the funeral.
On the way to the funeral.
Yeah.
It was crazy. We just saw signs.
We kept seeing Colorado signs and Air Force stuff, and obviously.
It was really eerie, and just to see, beautiful Colorado or Colorado license plates and all this stuff. At that point in our life, we were like, we feel like this is a sign from your grandfather.
Well, I think we were also, we were weeks away from our wedding. I'd been in Texas, I'm an Army brat, but we landed in Texas when I was 5, so I'm basically a Texan. And I'd been in Texas for so long. I was brokenhearted. My family wasn't, we just lost the patriarch, so my family was all up in whatever craziness. And, and Chris was telling me of this opportunity, and I had always said, if I ever leave Texas, I'll go to Colorado. And I will say, as marrying someone that's in what you guys do, I still, 6 years into this, and not prepare for how much you move or the opportunities to move. It's very hard. I get very emotional. I get attached. just about every season. I hate the end of the season when all these phone calls start, all you guys start texting each other and saying, oh, did you hear this open? And I'm like, because I'm not good at moving. I don't like it. But it just felt like the right thing to do, and for his career and for, I guess, for both of us as in a relationship. We're like, let's be newlyweds in Colorado, and we love it.
It was crazy though, I will say that, because we got married, or I had to fly up before that.
He had started work 2 weeks before our wedding.
So yeah, they flew me up. It was a 2-day interview. I was treated like a 5-star recruit. I flew back, told Herman that I was leaving. I flew back up there, was there for 2 weeks, flew back for our wedding. We went to our honeymoon in Portugal. And then as soon as we got back, the day we got back, I had to fly up to Colorado Springs to continue working. And Heather lived in Houston for what, 2 months?
I was in, Houston for 2 months by myself, which was, again, another, you just got married and you're in this happy little honeymoon phase. That was a hard part too. And it was one of those things that, like, okay, this is going to be worth it in the end. But it was a lot of, there was a lot of late calls at night saying, why are we doing this? And a lot of arguments. But eventually I jumped in the car. I had to pack the entire house by myself. And that's another thing that sucks, is the packing on your own. So I had to pack the entire house and 2 dogs and my car and work with movers and get us here. And while Chris, in my mind was like, oh, he's enjoying the mountains and he gets to go to a hotel room where they clean his room every night and, or every morning, and free breakfast. But yeah, and it turned out to be, a great move for us, because everything started here for us. It just kind of landed perfectly.
Yeah.
But I do get very stressed out at the end of every season when those calls start and those text messages and things get shifted and coaches go here and there, and it literally puts my stomach in knots, because I'm just, especially when you have kids now, that's hard. You gotta up and move them. So yeah.
But I will say one thing, like with all this, especially if you're going to be moving a significant other, always make sure wherever you're getting a job, make sure that they're going to pay for your move. Because like that was one of the things of the Air Force. Coach Calhoun goes, yeah, we're going to pay for your move. And I think we only had to pay like $1,000 out of pocket. When I moved to Houston by myself, it was, all out of pocket and that kind of stuff. But it's very helpful if your organization that you're going to work with is going to make sure they take care of you. And that's, I think that's a big thing, is more importantly, before your salary and everything else, to be like, I want to make sure my family's taken care of. And I think by saying that to whatever organization you're going to go with, I think that shows that you have the fortitude to be a good employee for them, and that they made a good choice in you.
Chris has had a great offer more recently, I guess a couple months ago, a great one. One of the, for us, and someone being a football fan like I am, it was, from one of the top schools. But when we asked, like, okay, so how are you going to help us, move across the country and all this other stuff, and what is it like for, and that's a question that, I've started asking Chris to start asking is through this process, is like, ask them what's it like for the wife? Like, are the wives part of the coaches' wives? Are they not invited to things? Are they invited? Or are they not? At University of Houston, there was a couple coaches' wives that I became very close with, but that was mostly because Chris was close with some of the coaches. But here at Air Force, as soon as I got here, again, I think it has to do with whatever university you're with, they immediately included me, and that made it easier for me to have all of a sudden this built-in support system. While Chris is out busy, at least I have a text group of 20 other women who know what it's like and have respect for my husband's position. He's not a coach, but I feel like you guys work harder than the coaches. I really do. And it kind of really annoys me that some of these coaches are, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You make a lot more money than my husband does. But yeah, so it's when you find someone, it's like Chris is really good at making sure that he asks all the right questions. And this, like I said, a couple months ago, he got this job offer, and it was almost too good to say no to, but we did, because it wasn't right for our family. They couldn't show us that they were going to support us once we're there. You're moving us across the country where we have zero family. And at that point I was pregnant with her, and I'm like, how do we know that we're going to have the support system? So it was kind of a let's stay with Air Force. We have a really good here, or go somewhere that doesn't seem like they can provide for us. Like, give us a couple of things to help us out. So
yeah,
a lot more questions come into it when you start looking at other schools.
Yeah.
And I think you guys bring up an excellent point, and I think this was brought up, I believe, in a previous webinar. We got to always make sure that they pass your interview too. They, as in the university or the football team or whatever sports team you go to.
Yeah.
Because you know what, money comes and goes, as we all know. And Heather, you probably found this out sooner than later that Chris and I didn't get into this industry to become rich.
No.
Right? No. Like we wanted to fulfill our lives and have football around our lives and sports around our lives, and to know that there's people out there that share the same sentiments, that they got to take care of your family on top of just being able to pay the bills. I mean, that's a great sentiment for people to know. Moving on to the pregnancy stage, I feel like we're going on the evolution train as we continue through this. When you guys first found out, right? And Chris has mentioned in passing that it was not an easy journey, right? Yeah. For you personally, Heather. What was that moment like when you found out that you were having Max, and what was that like for you, Chris, when you guys found out?
Well, I mean, and you know, this isn't a touchy subject. I mean, it is always going to be a touchy subject, but we have both been very open about our road with infertility and miscarriages. And it has been a long journey for us, and it hurts a lot. And that's another thing too, is when you're not around your family, you know, you've got to make sure that you have that support system in case something does happen. And luckily, when we were pregnant the first time and we lost our son, it was obviously one of the hardest, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life and in his life. Like, it was terrible. It wrecked us. But we had a support system here, and we were able to have the coach. I mean, we had a meal train set up, and for like 3 weeks we had meals show up at our door, and we're just like, we don't know where this came from, because we were so in deep with our grief, you know. And so that's important. And then we had another miscarriage after that. And then I found out I was pregnant with Max, and we were very excited. He was due bowl season, which made me very nervous, because I was like, oh God, we're gonna have this baby and it's gonna be on a bowl game. I just know it. And sure enough, that was the season we did not go to a bowl game. So that worked out perfectly. And he was born 3 weeks early. So it worked out, knock on wood, perfectly. But yeah, it was, personally, it was a very scary news to get, because we were scared that we were going to lose another baby. But then we were very excited and hopeful. And then, you know, again, we have such a support system here that they helped us through it. You know, they set up the showers for us, and the baby showers, and they would check in on us. And so again, it's so vital to have some sort of support system, whether it's your family or coaches.
And I can't speak enough to Coach Calhoun and the coaching staff. When I first found out about James, and Heather called me.
James was our first baby that died.
Our first son that passed away, and Heather called me just sobbing, and I literally ran to Coach Calhoun's office and said, I have to go. And he goes, go. And I went, and you know, the video coordinator and me, I went to the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, said, I'm not going to be here for practice. Okay. You're in good hands. I've trained my kids well enough. And I'm pretty sure I broke 100 miles an hour at least 4 or 5 times getting there to make sure that she was fine. And that was probably the hardest day of our life. Honestly, like, I was not in the office for another 2 weeks after that. And I'm very thankful for my cadets that were there to step up for me. I was very glad that I trained them to do what they were able to do. And very thankful for my coaching staff. To this day, Steve Russ, who's now a linebacker coach with the Washington Redskins, he talks to me about it and asks me how my family's doing and how we're all doing with everything, because his sister went through some miscarriages as well. So yeah, and I think it speaks volumes to have an organization or a team that backs you 100%, because
my family couldn't be here.
No, and none of our family could be here until like 2-3 days afterwards.
Well, and my sister, I've said before, I have a twin sister, and she was 9 months pregnant and couldn't fly. So I had to go through labor and delivery by myself with Chris, obviously, but we didn't have that, family to be there. But again, that's where it helps to have a good school and a good team and a good system around you, because they were, they showed up with flowers, and we were that was our first season here. So it was pretty crazy situation to be in. But again, I'm so thankful that we had them, or I think I would have said, okay, we're going back home. We're leaving, we're starting over. But, they helped us stay, level-headed. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So yeah, it was hard. But when we had Max, there was so much celebration to happen, and that was amazing. And same with Penelope, and the pregnancy. I never had easy pregnancies, but we made it. And I'm not the nicest to be around when I'm pregnant either. But it's especially with the hard schedule. But again, you make it work. You figure it out. But yeah.
Now, kind of shifting gears a little bit introspectively about motherhood and fatherhood, you can both give your perspectives. For somebody like me, a dumb single 27-year-old guy who can't see the forest through the trees yet, what changed about your life when you became a mother and a father respectively? What did anything change mindset wise, anything like that?
Yeah, nothing's about you anymore.
Everything changes
for the good.
Yeah.
It's no longer your time schedule. It's no longer your emotions. It's all about your kid. And it's like this, but it's very, it sounds scary, right? But it's very instinctual, I think, for most people. I think other people, there's of course people out there that don't feel it, but for both of us, it was definitely like
a learn as you go.
Damn, this is really hard, but like, what other choice do you have? Like, the kid has to eat. He's just going to wake up in the middle of the night, and that's what you do. And you learn to adjust, and it's very, like, again, instinctual for us.
Well, and even now too, with Max being 2 years old, I call him my 2-year-old terrorist, because you don't really know what the hell he's saying. He's so angry. He's trying to say words. He's trying to say what the hell he has in his head, but it comes out as a headbutt or a karate chop from the PJ Masks, where he said, "Hi-ya!" And, I'm just happy that he hasn't learned how to kick me in the nuts yet, because that would definitely hurt. But it's
probably deserved it though.
Yeah, but it's been really awesome. It's like a class that you're starting to pick up slowly, and you learn as you go. Obviously, with the kids as they get older and older, it's going to be more of a fun journey. But
I think my favorite thing to do with Max, he's at that fun age where, like, well, before COVID hit, but gosh, we went to the spring game, or was it the spring game?
No, it's
practice.
Just a spring practice.
It was just a scrimmage or something, and we, and it was so fun to take him. 2 years old, he's kind of at that age where he wants to get down and see everything. So after the practice, like, he was able to run on the field, and the players talked to him. So I love that. That's one of my favorite aspects is seeing, like, the players interact, like, especially the ones that we have relationships with, or the cadet filmers, it's just the coaches, just to see your kid run around with them and get high fives. And it's a pretty cool feeling, because it's like, oh, they care, they care as much as we care about our kid. But yeah, it changes you, but I think for us both, the better. I mean, we definitely
Agreed.
Are tired.
I guess compare it to, you just came home late from a road game and you have to put everything up. Like, that's my everyday life now, is I'm coming home from road games, and I'm just trying to make sure that everything's getting put up and everything's, there's no screw ups. I'm not having to message Eilert or John saying, hey, I reposted my game on Dragonfly. Can you guys re-download it? So.
Great. Now, this is a little bit more in general. Maybe this ends up being a warning for some young people, but how did you guys know it was right for each of your respective lives that it was time to have a child? And when do you know, or in your opinion, when shouldn't you have a child?
First things first, I don't think you're ever really ready to have a kid. You can say, okay, by the time I'm 32, I'm going to be, no. I was, how old am I?
31.
I was 32. 32 when I got pregnant. And again, we're kind of a little different from our rest of our friends that have known each other. They all got married at like 25 or whatever. We got married, I was 30 and Chris was 29. So we got a little bit older than I would say most of our peers have gotten married. But, I got pregnant the first time at 32 and we weren't ready. It was just one of those things that I was like, kind of getting older. I feel like I shouldn't have to do this. And, kids were never like a make or break for me. I love kids. I really do. But I was never that woman that was like, I have to have children and I love children. But it was more of when I met Chris is when I was like, oh my God, I totally want to have a kid with him because he's such a good guy. We would be such a good team and all this other stuff. And I just wanted our relationship to do that. And so, yeah, I don't think we were ever ready.
And I don't think it's something you plan either. I mean, you can try and plan till you're blue in the face, and it's just
it doesn't ever go your way.
There's a lot of science to it. I don't know if the young kids understand that, but
yeah, it's not like 16 and pregnant.
That's very factual, though.
I mean, it takes a lot of work, but I think you have to be confident. If you want to become a parent, just be confident in your career choice, because I don't think if Chris had decided, oh, I'm going to change career paths with a toddler or whatever, I'd be really annoyed. I'd be like, are you serious? Like, we've got to keep a stability. You have to know that for the next 18 years, I hope that you would treat your kid like, a dependent, at least for at least 18 years. Your decisions affect them, whether it's with work or any other decision you make. So it's kind of a maturity check. It's not, I don't think financially you're ever prepared. We didn't know that Max was going to be born with health issues, and that put us in the hole big time. I mean, thousands and thousands of bills or medical bills, and you can't prepare for those things. You can say, oh, I put money away just in case he's born with kidney reflux disease. And just in case he has a uterine reimplantation surgery. It's like, you don't plan those things. But just honestly, it was more of a, hey, the clock's ticking. I really want a kid with you. I think we're somewhat stable in our career paths. Let's do this.
And like Heather said, being stable in your career path. At that point in my life, I figured it wasn't time for me to start my traveling blues band that I really wanted to get going. So I put those aside just for Heather and the kids. But at one point later on, I do think I have a very fruitful career.
Yeah, like when the kids are in high school, it'll be really healthy for them.
Or 5 years from now, who knows?
Anyway.
Now, I'm sure you guys have some incredible stories, whether it's just amazing or hilarious. What's one or a couple of your favorite stories about raising kids, or about Max, or about Penelope? And I know Chris is going to edge towards the funnier side, so go ahead.
I don't. All of them. You go first. I want to hear what you say.
I'll do more of the heartfelt one that I really enjoyed. It was when we brought Max home, or Penny home, and Max was really kind of standoffish at first, and it was really we were kind of just concerned as far as what was going to happen. Was he going to punch her? Was he going to be like, hey, get the fuck off my turf?
He did throw dinosaurs at her.
He did, but we did find out that, I guess it's a common thing, the baby brings home a gift for the older child. So we're like, oh, she brought you this backpack with dinosaurs. And now it's really awesome because whenever he goes to sleep, he takes a nap, goes to bed, He'll give Heather a kiss and a hug, and then he'll go baby sister, and he'll give her a hug. And it's just neat seeing like a small connection begin with those two, because me being the older brother to my sister, I want to try and cultivate in him that, you know, she's all you have. Like, this is, you know, you have your two other siblings that passed away, but like, she is what you have, and you guys got to stick together, because ultimately family is all we got in this world, and we need to stick together with that. So that's one of my fun stories.
They could be playmates too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think anyone that has a toddler or a kid period and knows the toddler ages are so, it's while the most stressful and aggravating stage, because again, what Chris said earlier is the whole, they can't express themselves, and it's just like, what do you want? And they're just screaming and
Headbutting.
But it's also the most fun to see the things they do and all of that. And an example today, trying to work from, oh yeah, see you later.
Bye, Scott.
Thanks for coming. But you know, it's a very Brady Bunch. I like it. But you know, an example of like just something fun today. I'm you know, with this COVID thing, I'm working from home, so I've got a 7-week-old baby working from home and a toddler, and Chris is back at work. They're back in the offices, and I try to still make me some me time. And so I had a virtual training session with my trainer. And I had that, I mean, this is like just a couple hours ago, and I had the phone set up, and I'm not kidding you, the entire 60 minutes I'm with my trainer. Max is like running around naked, jumping on me, grabbing the phone, throwing it, hung up on her 3 times while Penny's crying. And it was just like this, you have to laugh, because it's like, oh my, I mean, what are we going to do? Like, there's nothing you can do, but it's like fun stuff. And he like crawled on my back and farted on me. And like, she could hear it. And I was like, I promise that was him, not me. And clearly my kids are very gassy from, you know, inheriting that from someone.
Yeah, but I fart a lot.
But you know, it's fun stuff like that. And it's tough, but I mean, I can't think of one specific thing, but
every day is an adventure. Yeah. And it's really awesome to be able to be in their little book that they're writing as they grow up.
It's really fun.
Now, again, off the basis of raising your child and whatever your philosophy is, that's your guys' prerogative in business. But I think something that's really, I guess, not talked about enough is integrating technology into your children's lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in a whole new era now, right? What's kind of your philosophy on that? When are you going to introduce like a phone or iPad? Have you already? What do you think of, like, you know, having it as a babysitter? Anything that you want to touch base on technology with your kids?
We both started off with like, we're not going to be one of those parents that let our kid sit there and watch TV all day or play on the iPad or our phones. But then
that when you are in a pandemic or a restaurant and you're trying to enjoy a meal real quick and feel like a normal fucking human being.
Yeah.
You will throw an iPad or a phone in front of your child and say, hey, what do you want to watch? What do you want to watch? But what we've done with Max, and we both can attest to this, we've stuck strictly educational programs and things in front of him, because I mean, there's like the SpongeBobs of the world, there's like everything else, but it's like
we find programs that he'll learn something, and not just, there's a couple cartoons that he loves that teach nothing other than, oh, look, they're all funny and running around and fighting crime at night, which teaches them to not sleep. But that's it. I'll get off a different tangent on different cartoons I hate. But, you know, we like to do the cartoon. If he does have a cartoon, we'll make sure that he's learning something. And it's funny, though, he actually does learn from these like Bubble Guppies and Twirly Woos and all of these little things. And
it has been very helpful, especially during this pandemic
and a newborn
with everything going on, because we sit down, we do, you know, specific lessons when we can, when time permits, and then these other educational shows really help out, and it's been helped out with his language. It's helped out with, you know, just some of his common everyday things.
He's really into counting right now, and he's terrible at It's like he skips 3 and 10 every time. It's almost like he's missing that part of his brain. But it's so cute. So we'll find the bubble guppies where they count, or we'll find the game on his little, and the iPad that he has is like an old, the very first iPad they ever made. So it's not like we go and buy him these fancy tech. It's like whatever's in the drawer that's been there for 10 years.
Bowl game gifts.
Yeah, right. And so we, have a special case on it. And, I was really against the iPad more than anything. And then this pandemic happened, and working from home, pregnant with this guy working from home, we were all just like, and he wasn't in school anymore. So I had, we had to come up with something like, okay, we both have to take this meeting in different rooms. How do we keep this kid quiet for at least 45 minutes? So the iPad came out. And, but I will say there's a lot of he's learned puzzles.
He's learned a lot of cognitive things as far as puzzles, coloring, actual where things are supposed to go. It's been really helpful with his brain advancement.
Yeah, and then you got to think about it too. These kids are going to grow up with more than we ever had. I got a cell phone when I was 17, and that was the first time that anyone had a cell phone. And I'm dating myself here, but he's going to grow up with that. So at least by the time he's in school and they're all using iPads in a couple of years, he'll know what to do.
And if I do let him play games, I let him play football games, so he knows what the hell I do. So
that is the fun stuff. But yeah, honestly, we took our kids in for a doctor's to the pediatrician, and we trust her with everything because she's helped us through Max's medical issues and all of that. And during this whole pandemic thing, she looked at me and she's like, Heather, we're in a pandemic. Let your kid be on an iPad for an hour. Who cares? No one has a script for this. No one knows what to do. If it's going to save you sanity, throw them in front of the TV. And I'm like, okay, you said I could, I'm going to do it. So a professional said I could do it, so I'm going to do
it. Now, before, I'm going to steal this segment from the support staff podcast. You always ended with lightning round questions, right? I put enough serious stuff on your guys' plate. So I wanted to ask just a couple fun questions to end this off. Number one, Heather, why should you date a video coordinator? Give your pitch.
Oh my God. You guys are a bunch of nerds. And they always say nerds are like the guys you want to marry, right? You guys are nerds. I feel like every video guy I've ever met is very nerdy and very sweet. You guys are pretty dedicated to the job, which in my experience of dating, when a guy is a hard worker, he works hard on his relationship too. So that's my pitch is go for the nerd who is the video guy who works hard and will work hard on your relationship because it's not easy. So, and you guys are lovely. I don't know. I felt like that was kind of me.
Chris, pretend you're single again and give your pitch.
For why you should date a video guy?
Why you should date a video guy now.
Because we're fucking awesome.
I can get you free gear.
Yeah, I can get you gear.
You want a hat? I know the equipment guys.
You can use I don't know if you've seen the movie Days of Thunder, but there's a scene in Days of Thunder where he uses sugar packets in a sweet and low.
Wait, did you take that?
You fucking know that.
I didn't know you did that from a movie.
So I used that on Heather, and I set it up as football players, and I ran some plays. And I was like, yeah.
You got that from a movie?
You fucking knew
I
that.
did not. What is Days of Thunder? I don't know what that movie is. Who's in it?
She may be
That's not a deal breaker.
She is
too late now.
She is good to look at, but she's playing dumb right now because I told her that. Yeah, you are.
I just didn't listen. I don't listen.
You might want to find someone
really
who listens
listener.
too. So
I will admit I'm a terrible listener.
But no, like Heather said, we're very dedicated. We're very down to earth people.
Oh, is that your pickup?
Yeah,
that's
very.
boring.
Get on Tinder. It's a hell of a lot easier than doing real life shit.
For the record, it was a joke, and I didn't think it was going to turn into marriage.
Look what I caught, guys.
Look at us.
Got his top recruit.
We are amazing.
Top activity you guys like to do together? Heather's already laughing.
Sleep.
I would like to remain up as long as possible. So yeah.
Sleep.
Sleep. No, legit. We like to Netflix and literally binge whatever TV show and pass out.
I like to watch The Office with her.
Yeah.
Great. What do you enjoy in Heather's life that has nothing to do in football? Did you guys find a common ground in anything?
Her family. I really enjoy her family, and that's a big thing for me, especially with my family and how close we are. When we first met, to be able to have that connection with her family and just be able to be myself, that was really huge.
Great. Well, I think that is my 5. I want to give John and Ashley a chance to say anything or ask a question if they have anything as well. They stayed on the whole time, so.
Oh, they probably fell asleep. Oh, there they are. Hi.
We're not asleep.
We're here. No, you guys did a great job. I would just say, like, as far as like in comparing our football experience to your football experience, obviously we've had different life events happen to us, different job switches and things like that, but the main themes of like the marriage and family and all of that are very similar. And so what you guys have experienced is also kind of how we've experienced it too. I think the one thing I learned from you guys, and this is probably something I've figured out over time, but you guys said it in a good way, was, when thinking about taking a different job, is asking, about the wife's experience, because we've been with 2 teams together, and it's been extremely different from the wife's standpoint. One, I was like an outsider and I was kind of by myself. And so being at team events was very awkward and was not inclusive. And then where we're at now is just a very different experience. I'm like considered one of the coaches' wives. And, I feel like I have a set of women who are friends and support, and they're there for me. And it's not like I'm a separate person. And that's the same with the equipment wives and the SID wives and all of that. So we're all considered kind of like, part of the coaching staff. And so that is probably one of the biggest differences I've seen in comparing schools and coaching staffs. And it makes a world of difference. So
It really does. We don't have that. I mean, U of H, I was still a girlfriend. I don't think we were engaged yet. So the only reason why I had 2 of the coaches' wives as friends was because Chris was friends with them. But other than that, I didn't know anyone else on staff. I wasn't invited to anything. And that was okay until I got to Air Force. And I was like, wait, what? You care about us? Like, you think we're this is great. And, to be included on the coaches' wives' text messages, it's something about the support staff. Like, to me, it boggles mind how some universities and head coaches treat their support staff like nothing, when in reality, I feel like put in just as much work, if not more. I mean, I know you could probably test, like, when I met him, he was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. He stayed after every game. The coaches get to go home after the game, and it's like, oh, you get to go home and have dinner, versus Chris is putting film in and dealing with equipment and talking to kids and getting to coaches and talking to coaches wanting things, and so, yeah, I agree completely that is vital, is if the coaching staff wives include you.
yeah, I mean, I think from a significant other standpoint, it would be so much harder to, make the move and go to another school, or to tolerate the hours of being alone and raising kids by yourself and like that kind of stuff. It would be so much harder if you didn't have that family, that football family. So I think for us, it's been fantastic. Other coaches on the staff we're on now all have little kids too, like young kids. So that's really great, because we can all kind of get together and, let the kids play while the wives hang out, or babysit for each other and like give each other time and stuff like that. So that's really nice too. Not that you'll have that everywhere, but I mean, a coaching staff that has family and does respect family and put families, you know, high up there in level of importance, because we have that too, that flexibility to, you know, attend family emergencies and stuff like that. So
now, did you guys know that before you got to this school, or was that something you asked beforehand, like, hey, what's it like for the support staff wives? Like,
I would say we didn't outright ask it, but there was like, I think just the information John knew about our coaches and where they came from, and you know, all of that was just like it was a good vibe, and he was like, I like this, I feel good about this, that kind of thing. But I think in the future, if there was ever to be a job switch, it will be like an explicit question.
I mean, that's exactly like, you know, Chris has had a couple different schools call in the last couple of years, and I tell him, like, don't forget to ask, you know, and that's one of the first things he asks, because I'm like, I'm not moving across the country to be by myself, because that's not fair, you know, and that'll just make us miserable, our kids miserable. So
and I think the only reason Houston was really obtainable, or you know, we were able to stay there too, is due to the fact that Heather's family was there. You know, and that was a huge thing, to be able to have family. And like coming to Colorado Springs, we had my family 6 hours away. So it's like, to be able to have a quick family, a quick group of people you can hang out with, trust, get along with, that speaks volumes for your organization. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We get to share our toddler terrorist stories with the other toddler terrorist families.
exactly.
And then you get to trade them out and let them play together and tear things down together. Yeah.
Exactly.
They understand. And they're like, oh, don't worry. That happens all the time. You're like, I know.
Right.
Now, out of respect for your guys' time, we're at about an hour, and I just want to ask one final question. And again, one last brownie point for Chris is, you both have to just say something nice to each other. What do you love about the other person?
Oh my God, are we in marriage counseling?
Nope.
I'm not paying you, Jimmy. I'm not paying you any extra for this.
No, Bud Light shit though. We need
your hourly rate just went out the window. Congratulations. You go first. I always say nice things to you.
He's the romantic one. I'm the who has time to be romantic. We have things to do. So I'd say something nice about my husband, Tim. I definitely appreciate that the simple little things he does. He doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night to feed the baby, but he does. You know, especially after working so late and all the time. And I think that's very rare. And finding a good man is someone that sees you and understands what you're going through. And so he's definitely a team player, and I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful for, I don't know, it's just fun and easy with him. Plus he has a nice butt. So I'm done.
I do my crunches at work, so
Crunches, your squats.
my butt crunches. I do at least 50 a day. So I love a lot of things about Heather, but I do love the fact that she's an amazing mother to my kids, especially when I can't be there all the time. I get to be the hero at the end of the day, to come in and be not the bad guy. And when Heather, you know, is working, but also being a mother, she's an amazing person. And I'm very blessed to have her in my life. And I'm just very thankful to have a wife that I can rely on and love on. So.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, you're welcome. Now, I just want to thank you both again for giving us a chance to really look in your guys' lives and being as open as you guys were. You know, like Mike said when he left, I wish there were a couple younger people on here, but like, you know, younger people, they're just going to watch it on YouTube later. But I think that you gave an incredible amount of useful advice practically within the job sphere, right? Being able to ask those type of questions and make sure that they passed your interview first and foremost. It's not about you anymore. And those are things I'm going to take. I was typing stuff down as you guys were talking, But those are things everybody should take as they progress through, because at some point, I mean, it might be rare. You might be the lone wolf that makes it through life, through this industry without somebody else. But most likely you're going to try to find somebody else and have somebody that matches, can coexist with your football wife and your actual life. So thank you both again. I can't thank you enough for being here. That's all I can say. And Chris, go ahead and show Bud Light again, because we still need a sponsor.
Like seltzer. I know you guys sponsor Post Malone, but also need you to sponsor this too, because I love the mango. Strawberry is good too. Key lime, it's pretty nice. And the strawberry, very refreshing on a hot summer day, especially up in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Oh, and your wine too, as well, Heather. What's your wine of the month?
I believe it was nakedwines.com.
I think, especially for the last person getting on here, I think it's from the fine wineries of San Diego, also known as San Diego, or the whale's vagina, accordingly. But
Scared him off.
yeah, see, you scared him off already. Murph always gets scared off by me. But no, Jimmy, I just want to take the time to thank you,
thank you.
for this. I know it's something you didn't have to do, but throughout all of this, the webinars you've done for everybody across the board, ranging from, the hot topics that are going on in the world today with, racism and injustice and things of that nature, all the way down to, creative work. It's been awesome to be able to watch you do this, and it's been awesome to see the Collegiate Sport Video Association back you on this, and also see the participation you've gotten through it. So, yeah, you're one hell of a dude, man, and very happy to have you as a friend. So,
Well, I'm very happy to have you both as friends now. So I can't wait to meet you in person, Heather, and Chris. We'll have one more toast whenever the next CSVA happens. Same with you, John. Ashley, I hope to meet you one day as well. Thank you for your input, by the way, and thank you for staying all the way through. I know with your schedules and your children, you're very busy as well. So thank you both as well. All right.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Have a good night. We'll see you next. And I actually get to talk to my twin on Wednesday. It's not really my twin, Paul Smith, but from Louisiana Tech. But if you actually saw him, we actually look
You do.
way similar.
John was really excited. Twin power.
Yeah, but we're gonna continue these as much as possible. But Chris knows this too. It's hard to sustain this kind of stuff, but we'll see how far we can take it. But I appreciate the kind words. All right.
Awesome.
Have a good week. Have a good night. Thank you both again.
All right. Have a good night.
Take care. See y'all.